everybody to LTC Heroes Live. My name is Jalene Carpenter, and I'm not your usual host today. I'm very excited that I am taking over Peter Murphy-Lewis's podcast. For those that don't know me, my name is Jalene. I am the president and CEO of Nebraska Healthcare Association, and we are hosting Peter at our Innovation Summit in September. So September 18th and 19th, Peter will join us for 2 days. He will be keynoting, he'll be podcasting, he will be, quite frankly, everywhere at our Innovation Summit. So I told Peter I am taking over this podcast and I'm going to interview him on why he's excited on coming to our Innovation Summit. So to start, Peter, why don't you tell me a little bit about you?
I'll do the brief intro. So I started LTC Heroes about 3 years ago. This is the first takeover in 3 years. I'm glad that it's you. It's a brilliant idea. And if there's anyone who is going to do better, it'd be you. You're easier on their eye. Your voice is better. And you know about more long-term care than me. So I feel happy to pass you the mic. I also am the vice president of marketing at Experience Care, an electronic healthcare records company.
Perfect. Now, let's back up a little bit, Peter, because you just sold yourself a little short there. You do have experience in long-term care and senior care. Give me your story. That's the best part of you, is the story of how you came to this podcast and came to be so passionate about our space.
So I feel blessed that I feel like I've done more jobs than any 43-year-old in the Western Hemisphere. So I have a TV show in South America, like a docu-series show, where I've done more than 150 different jobs. So think Mike Rowe in Spanish, dirty jobs, and that's me. And I think the reason it works is because my Spanish accent is thick. I'm not really good at anything, so everyone can laugh at me. But what I feel blessed is I discovered long-term care after doing more than 150 jobs. I became a CNA 2 years ago, and I've said this many times, I've had 2 jobs that have changed my life. One of them was when I first got out of college working as a HIV/AIDS homeless caseworker, and 2, being a CNA. So I feel really, really blessed because now as a father of a 6.5-year-old, I've learned so much about long-term care and working with leaders from Nebraska and from other conventions that it helps me be a better father, a better husband. And I have the feather on the cap of 150 jobs, but CNA might be my favorite.
That is awesome. And I think that energy and your passion is why we are so excited to host you at our Innovation Summit. Now, our Innovation Summit this year is called Forces of Change, the Future of Work. And that's a pretty big and heady kind of title. But I want your perspective on why this is the right conversation for us to be having in Nebraska, but also nationally as well.
Well, when you say forces of change, I think that is just another way for saying innovation, right? Like forces could be used in the negative sense that you're being forced to do something. I like it in the positive sense because the people in long-term care use the momentum of group of social energy, and it happens at conventions and it happens in the long-term care community. So I think what I'm excited about from the forces of change that I've seen over the last year and a half is staffing is starting to get better. Technology is coming from acute and will be adopted in post-acute. We're coming up with unique ways to talk to younger generations, Gen Zs, and bring them into the industry. One of the things that I say that I'm most proud of the work from LTC Heroes is we like to steal young Gen Z, passionate individuals and leaders from other industries. So I do webinars, as you know this, Jalene, around LinkedIn and recruitment and retention. And I always say that if you work in another industry and you're under the age of 25, I'm going to steal you from your employer and bring you into long-term care. So that's kind of the way that I approach innovation from a staffing point of view. Obviously, I work in EHR, but I'm not going to sell EHR to Jalene or anyone else. I'm going to focus on how I can help you with your biggest issue. And for the last 5 years, it's been staffing.
That leads us perfectly into your keynote that you're going to be giving, and it's called From Good to Unforgettable. Now, you are unforgettable, Peter, without a doubt. But what can our members and those attending Innovation Summit expect from that keynote? What can they take away?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I knew that you would say something about branding, so I prepared. And so the keynote is mainly about personal branding, how you can take who you are as a human being, your mission. This is not about cell phones. This is not about walking around on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. Rather, this is talking about who you are as a human, who you want to be, and how you can make a difference and how that's going to help your organization. And I always try to stand out. And you'd know this, Jalene, either I have quirky glasses or I have quirky shirts. If you're watching this instead of listening to this, you can see that for my birthday, I have a picture of a Hawaii shirt with my son. So you can take something as simple as being quirky offline and helping people remember you and use that afterwards so that people remember you with the needs that you have. I think what will be surprising to the audience, the participants, the members of your organization about it is that I approach personal branding from a North Pole point of view. This is not about metrics or marketing or conversions. This is not about views on YouTube or LinkedIn connections or KPIs from comments on LinkedIn. This is about how you can do something that you already love offline. So maybe you're amazing at the parent teachers conference, or maybe Jalene, you are the best Rotarian in your small town, or maybe Jalene, you are the best Girl Scout leader. I'm going to walk you through a workshop on how you can take who you are offline and outside of work and how that's going to help your long-term care organization with recruitment and retention and potentially even census. And I'm going to go through maybe 10 examples. And Jalene, I've done this talk online to 3 or 4 different webinars, and I did this as a keynote at 2 conventions in the month of May. And I didn't tell you about this, Jalene, but you are in my presentation. So the entire state of Georgia and the entire state of long-term care leaders in Florida have a slide of Jalene talking about what is her personal brand. And I pulled up a quote just to surprise you today, and here it is. And I always say, your personal brand is not how you define it. Your personal brand is how people describe you when you're not in the room. So here's the quote that I said 2 or 3 months ago. And it said, Jalene Carpenter's personal brand. Now, and she's going to improve the care and life of America's seniors by putting people together and networking a way that they can improve care. Now, you might not sign off on that, but I don't care. When you're not in the room, Jalene, that is how I talk about you. And that's what we'll be talking about on September 18th and 19th.
But I'm supposed to be taking over the podcast. What is happening? That is awesome. So that helped. Peter is full of surprises. So people who are attending Innovation Summit, this is what you can expect. This is why we are so excited that you are like our golden gem for our entire summit. One thing that I want to make sure and call out is you are going to be podcasting live throughout the entire time. And you did this last year. So what excites you? What do you get? What happens when you're doing that, when you're having those conversations with innovators, leaders, frontline workers? Like, tell me, what fills your bucket there?
My favorite thing to do, and you'll know from a year ago, I did this with you. I will find 2 or 3 people that are friends with upcoming guests. And I will ask them insights into who that person is outside the job. Do they love their pugs? Do they love cutting grass for free at the local high school? Do they consume a lot of goofy fiction books or science fiction or so forth? Oh, something's interrupting. I don't know how to turn that off. Let me see. I think that's me. Is that you?
Nope, not me.
Let me see. Hold on. Sorry.
It wouldn't be a takeover.
Oh, we got it off.
There we go.
Yeah, so what a takeover, a Zoom call, the only app I didn't turn off. So, Jalene, the thing that gets me going is I like to figure out what makes a person tick outside of work, and I like to surprise them with that in my interview. Because, and this ties into the keynote that I'm doing around personal branding, is people want to follow people before they want to follow brands. So if I can make a director of nursing or an administrator come to life for a 20-year-old who's thinking about going and working at Walmart, and we can bring that 20-year-old into working for the director of nursing because of their passion for their farm on weekends, or their passion for their nieces and nephews because they don't have their own children, that's the person we're going to bring that 20-year-old in. So it's those questions ahead of time that I love to do for in the podcast at the actual convention. And you gave me a whole bunch of tips when I was in Nebraska last year. You gave me about 3 small tidbits that I could ask everyone beforehand.
That's awesome. So my podcast takeover, I know I only have so much time. I have 2 more big topics I want to cover. One of which is at Innovation Summit, we are doing a quick pitch. So think Shark Tank. And we wanted to go to those young people to inspire them to work in long-term care. So we've gone to the colleges and we've said, hey, bring us some entrepreneurs to make a quick pitch on solutions to workforce in long-term care. And, you've probably participated in some of these, or what advice maybe would you give either our members who are watching the quick pitch or those students who are doing the quick pitch?
So I've judged quick pitches and I've been the quick pitcher. My sense from being effective and efficient, you need to start off with a one-liner that everyone understands immediately and they can visualize it. So if you are doing a pitch of something that is not a product, rather it's a service or an idea, you need to be able to say it in one simple sentence, and you need to dumb it down so that it sounds like the English or PowerPoint presentation from someone who's in 6th grade. So you need to be able, to the point, say, this is what it is. If I were to close my eyes, I understand what this person is bringing to me and how it's going to make an impact. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I think that I would add to that is less is more. People show up very nervous and they speak too fast. And I'm guilty of this. I am a sinner of speaking too fast, as you all notice right now. But just slow down and breathe. And if your normal pitch was going to be 5 minutes because they give you 5 minutes, I think you should prepare for it to be 2.5, because awkward silence impacts, and that will get the message through. Those are my 2 tips, Jalene.
Yeah. So you just gave 2 tips that I literally wrote down right now. I'm thinking, when we're talking to legislatures, when we're trying to pitch who we are in long-term care, I think that is amazing advice. So not only do you podcast, apparently you have a television show in South America, you're a dad, you're traveling around the country, you're doing webinars. What are you excited? Why are you excited to invest this time at our Innovation Summit in Nebraska?
Ooh, definitely wasn't prepared for the question. I guess
I needed a surprise. You blindsided me, so I had to come back with a hard one.
I think one of the things that motivates me outside of work, outside of experience care, outside of the podcast, is to help people find transformational change in their entire life, more as a holistic manner. So a few of the webinars that I do is around the book 5 Languages of Love. My favorite book. I've gifted it to more people than any other book in my life. I do another webinar, an in-person meeting around a fear setting workshop. So I'm personally motivated when we're done talking about long-term care and talking about staffing, and I'm talking to someone at dinner or a cocktail, I try to figure out what they want to grow on personally, and I try to bring the little secrets of success that I've learned from a therapist or from my dad or from my grandpa or from a workshop, and share that with them so it can change them way beyond the conference. And I've never been asked that question, and you got me, but I think that's what gets me going.
Awesome. Well, that's what the takeover is all about. So you just opened a great door for me to highlight the fact that Innovation Summit is September 18th and 19th. On the 18th, Peter will be doing our keynote. You will also be joining us for our reception at the Barn Owl afterwards. And then you will be there all day Tuesday on the 19th, where I'm really hoping that we might have a really big surprise to announce at the end of our day of our Innovation Summit. So hopefully sneak peek for people who are going to be attending. And with that, I'm going to give you the opportunity, Peter. Is there anything else you would like to add, or any reason why maybe somebody who hasn't registered for Innovation Summit should register?
Oh, I would just say that the community in Nebraska is unique. I've been to Nebraska for long-term care twice in the last year. This will be my third time. And when I go around the country, and I've been to, more than 15 states in the last 9 months, I always talk about Nebraska. I'm proud of your long-term care leaders. And if you need an excuse, you obviously haven't met the wonderful people there. So show up, come have fun. And Jalene and her team are running an amazing organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. Well, you have been a phenomenal guest. I would welcome you anytime to your podcast. And, I will tell you, LTC Heroes really does make a difference to get the message out about why long-term care is important and why this work isn't just about the work, but you are making a difference, and new generations need to learn that. So Peter, you have been amazing, and I look forward to being your one and only podcast takeover.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in a little bit less than a month, Jalene.